I'm here with Deep Prasad, and we are again at the inaugural UAP Hackathon in San Francisco. It is 2025.
You got it.
This event is going really well, man. So what are your thoughts on it?
Thank you so much, first of all, for coming, Tim. I'm really honored to have you here. My thoughts on the SF UAP Hackathon is that it ended up going so much better than I already expected, which is so awesome.
Yeah.
Honestly, it ended up somehow magically being 10 times better than I was hoping for.
I would say it was amazing. I mean, you brought together a really diverse collection of people to literally hack together solutions to various problems related to UAP and NHI and things like that, right? There's a lot of different directions this could have gone, and people buckled down. They started working. I saw several big groups of people. They split off into smaller groups.
So
you guys have something really amazing happening here.
That's really awesome, and it's really great to hear. Some of these projects are some of the most advanced propulsion projects I've seen, some of the most advanced computer vision projects I've seen, a lot of cool EEG type stuff going on, a lot of really interesting hardware projects as well, yeah.
Well, and that's worth mentioning. So you do have, I believe there are 6 different tracks. I don't have those all memorized. Like propulsion, that's the sign that you're standing in front of. There's humanity, soft landing, that's the sign over there. There are several other focus areas, I guess, related to the UAP phenomena as well as humanity's growth in the universe, right?
Yeah, you got it. So yeah, we have the biologics track, a material science track as well, and then finally an advanced civilization track.
Okay, so you're really trying to work all of the different angles that are related to
UAP and NHI. You got it. All the way from what would an advanced alien society look like from a technological perspective, a political perspective, a social and philosophical perspective. Can we use our own AIs that are starting to become increasingly smarter than us and almost alien to us? Can we use it to try to simulate some of these things, for example?
I really love that you guys are applying data analytics, computer science, advanced modeling, as well as a lot of concepts from like the EACC community and things like that, right? So this is new school. That's the word that I've been saying all weekend. It is so exciting. I'm also seeing a lot of younger people here, which is amazing.
There's so many young people here. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Well, so where do you see things going from here?
So I'm hoping to turn this into very much either a semi-annual or annual thing, and just having increasingly more and more people. We had about 200 hackers at its peak sign up. Probably about like somewhere between 80 to 120 of them have actually shown up throughout the day, and then probably half of those are actually still competing right now. So, but that's like 40, 50 individual humans who were talented engineers who knew almost nothing about this subject, who have now made lots of progress in one weekend on the subject. So what I want to see is this 10xing again. I'd love to have 500 or 1,000 people at the ship next time with way more projects going.
Well, and so in addition to the hackers themselves, I think another exciting aspect of this is you've had some conference speakers, right? And again, they were billed as providing short, introductory overviews, but like Garry Nolan spoke for over an hour a couple of days ago, and he revealed some new data. Again, it's very data-focused, data-driven analytics. He did that. You've also, I believe, had Peter Skafich, James from SkyWatcher, and he revealed a bunch of new analysis photos that they have taken of UAP, right? So that's another aspect of this. Are you looking at more speakers in the future?
Absolutely looking forward to more speakers. I'd love to have you as a speaker on your experience with APEC, right? A lot of people here, Silicon Valley was built on looking at what's beyond the known sciences and at the edge of physics, right? We've built trillion-dollar companies at the edge of physics, and UAPs happen to exist at the edge of physics. So we'll definitely have more and more speakers, and I'm hoping to see an even wider spread of diversity from some of the most advanced aerospace engineers to AI engineers, all the way to medical practitioners, biotechnologists, and so on as well.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And then hopefully some of the spin-offs from this, in the same way that NASA technologies have made it back to the commercial sector, right?
You got it.
You're able to take spin-offs from this, and the innovators that come up with those can commercialize them.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's the hope of humanity's soft landing, which will accelerate, for example, the scientific study of the phenomenon, and it'll also open source and decentralize much of the data around this stuff and the hardware and software required to detect, track, and recover UFOs and UAPs. And so, yeah, the beauty there is that we're going to be able to see more and more progress as a result.
That is amazing. And then I guess one thing I should touch on before we close out is Open NHI. So there is an open source component of this, right? And again,
You got
this
it.
goes back to the new school aspect of it. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so we want to be maximally transparent as possible. This is why even this entire event, there was no restrictions on what to post, what content. I was just live streaming stuff left, right, and center. Jeremy was live streaming his stuff. It was all good. So in that sort of same ethos, we plan on open sourcing everything with Open NHI related to detecting and tracking UFOs and NHI. So we really want no more secrets.
Yeah.
So that's So Open NHI will really be, the mandate will be, we will open source both the hardware and software. So we'll have open source sensors, satellite hardware as well, that the public can go and launch on their own. And do their own scientific investigations for.
It's amazing. Again, people have said that we're in what's been described as a UFO renaissance, and I think that the open source, data-driven, 21st century approach at the UAP Hackathon is right on the cutting edge of it. So Deep, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Tim. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Right on.
So you are Mayor Ma, you are one of the organizers. That was why I wanted to talk to you.
Yes.
So this is the inaugural UAP Hackathon of San Francisco 2025. Can you tell me a little bit about how it's going so far? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's going fantastic. Really incredible that this is taking place on the USS Hornet. There's a birthing room section downstairs, so lots of the hackers actually was working so late and wanted to stay here and hack. So yeah, lots of exciting projects. We have 6 missions that kind of cover the breadth of the UAP topic, which includes material science, psionics, biologics, humanity soft landing, and yeah, a couple others. So yeah, we're super excited to feel the energy from the hackers.
It's pretty good turnout too. I think I've seen 7 or 8 different groups working on things, right?
Yeah. Actually, there's a lot more than that. There's 7 or 8 bigger groups. Yes, definitely.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but
okay.
there are a lot of individual hackers and pairs of hackers as well. Some are working remotely as well. Yeah, pretty exciting.
So one of the other things that I think has been interesting is even though the focus of this event has been on, again, kind of UAP hacking, which is sitting down at tables, doing code, working on things like that, you've also had some speakers at this event, right? You had James from SkyWatcher, you have had Dr. Garry Nolan, Dr. Skafich, several others there, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because this is a topic that we wanted to introduce to the tech and engineering community, because it's fairly new to everyone. Yeah, we wondered if it should be like a straight, typical hackathon, or it could kind of be kind of intersection between a hackathon and a conference, so that people can be essentially educated and learn from the experts and the companies, private and otherwise, and academia, to learn about all the research that's done. And I think getting exposure to that data and the evidence towards these different subject areas is what's key in driving this community forward, and to help raise awareness of what all of the all of the research that's going on in UAP, but also to destigmatize as well.
So what do you think, and I don't know if this is fair to ask, but like as you have started to kind of see these folks in action and see this first inaugural conference kind of kick off and start to form, I guess, how do you see this moving forward in the future?
That's a great question, and that's why Deep and I kind of is starting an initiative called Open NHI. We wanted to not kind of end at a hackathon. We want to continue the spirit and energy. And one thing we realized in this community is that we wanted to have a open and decentralized platform that acts more as a uniting source of energy to help kind of unite various investigations going on, for UAPs. And yeah, we're hoping to build a platform that is on-chain and allow various partners, such as like SkyWatcher and L, who have, for example, hardware sensors, to then contribute their data if they want to the open source platform. So we can begin to build an infrastructure and protocol around data collection, and then also proof of provenance of data, and then as well as proof of contribution and rewards in the future. But this way, then we can kind of consolidate what is otherwise a bit more fragmented research into a scientific resource for the masses.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And one of the things that I've been saying all weekend is the word new school, or the phrase new school, right? And it seems like I'm seeing so many young people who are full of energy and inspiration at this conference. You talk about like blockchain, open NHI initiatives and things like that. These are all kind of newer 21st century approaches, right, to managing data and solving mysteries and things. And this is something I think that the UFO community desperately needs, right? Absolutely,
yeah. I think the engineering community and tech community today in 2025 more than ever is so well equipped with, especially with AI and LLMs and the rise of that movement, and being able to apply that to this particular application. There's actually a lot of dual use applications, right? That's why we're seeing a lot of folks who are working on, for example, neurotech or consciousness research or materials science analysis, right? Or propulsion systems or even detection systems for defense. They all can be applied here as well. So I think it's just bridging the gap, and I'm very excited about the new energy as well. And I think, with just more awareness that this is to be taken more seriously, and there's genuine scientific progress to be made in leaps and bounds if we apply ourselves here. So I think that's really exciting.
Wonderful. Well, Mayor, thank you again so much.
You're very welcome, Tim.
Daniel Sheehan, you are a powerhouse in the UFO community, and you have been forever. I mean, you are one of the top people in the world in this area, and you're here with us at the UAP 2025 Hackathon in San Francisco. So what are your thoughts of this year's conference?
Well, it's interesting. I was intrigued as to how they were going to divide up the issues to be explored and investigated and attacked, basically, by these kind of experts on this thing. And for example, they divided into 6 different areas. They have the biologics, they have the propulsion stuff, they have the material science parts. They've got the psionics, interestingly, which drew a big crowd. But they've got this other one that I was really puzzled by, because it's called the soft landing for the human family. And it turns out that's the one, when you're really involved in this particular issue in Washington, meeting with the actual senators and the House members and their staffs, that's the one that they're all focused on. They're saying, if this is true, and it causes them to start with that. If this is true, no matter how much evidence you keep putting in front of them, they're still into that frame of mind of, if this is true, because if they come to the operational conclusion that it's true, then they have to figure out what to do about it. And they haven't gotten there yet at all. There's like no energy getting put into the solutions about what to do about this, because they're still fighting it off. It's so antithetical to their whole previous worldview. that there's still the evidence that, you know, I could you know, convince any jury anywhere in the country, you know, taken at random. We wouldn't even have to go through a voir dire process to pick out the right jury. Just pick 12 people off the street and put them in the box. You know, no matter what their background is, you present the evidence that exists of this, you know, and they're all going to conclude not only by a preponderance of this evidence, but to, you know, a clear and convincing level, or in fact to beyond any reasonable doubt, that, you know, that we're in possession of at least one non-human origin extraterrestrial spacecraft.
Well, so do you think that this conference then is the beginning of that next step? I mean, like the ODNI in 2021, they released a statement basically saying, hey, UFOs are real, it's a potential threat to flight safety, right? So we're already there in terms of this disclosure process moving forward. Is this kind of that next step where it's like, okay, we're there, what do we do next?
Well, it's interesting because there's a mix of that here. That, for example, working on the biologics, what they're trying to do is to be able to figure out how to apply the AI technology at its cutting edge to verifying that biological evidence that's obtained from certain crash sites is non-human. So they're still at that point to say, how much more evidence do we need to have to prove? You know, but you've got the government officials saying, we've run the biologics and we've confirmed that they're not. They say, well, we have to do it ourselves. So they have to figure out how the laity can get involved in verifying it for ourselves. So they're still at that spot. You know, the material science thing is another thing. Same kind of thing. Oh, we've got this big piece of metal here, and we know about it. That it's got like 17 different, you know, atom-wide layers in it, and that there's an element in here that we can't even identify. And we do know that if you pass a kind of a mild electric current across the top of it, it levitates. You go, whoa, what does that mean? You know, so let's get into a deeper analysis of this. So it's still devoted to that issue of trying to prove to the people that are resistant that it's true. Okay, so there's a lot, but this one about, you know, the soft landing, that's the main one that's on the other side of the line. Assuming that as we do, that it's true, how do we start doing the work on how we generate a soft landing? And so there's a whole, it's crossing the line. It's on the operational side of the line now. So that's a new thing, because I've been to all kinds of places about this, talked to all kinds of people, from the Inspector General, the Defense Department, to guys with high-level classifications with the access to the information and all that. But it's only the people who have access to the deep information that are totally convinced already that it's true. And what they're worried about is how to get control over the release of the information in a way so that as it's being released to the public, changes can be made in the institutional structures. They're at that level, but they haven't still gotten into what are the changes.
Okay.
They still aren't doing that. They're just at that level of trying to get control over the rate of disclosure, so that it can give them the time, the coincidental time, to work on these things. So that this specific task that's going on here about how to generate a soft landing, I've spent time talking with the people there at the very beginning of this exploration about how to bring to bear this kind of almost magical AI capacity. You know, what are the kind of questions you want to ask? You know, and for example, one of the first questions we were saying is, you know, what metric do you use?
Yeah.
For a soft landing? Like, how soft? What are the units of softness about the landing? And how do they apply to the economic structures? How do they apply to the religious institutions? You know, how do they apply to the domestic political institutions? You know, what are the units units that you're using? What are the ones and zeros? How do you get those operational? And I'm saying, because I don't know how to program these AI things, but they do.
Well, and so what you're really describing are large whole of society issues, right, that are going to take large efforts to understand and come up with solutions for.
That's right.
So one of the things that I've wondered is if organizations like Aero, where they have limited funding, limited staff, and
limited mission.
Limited mission, are they, can they take away the message from this conference that there are large groups of excited, enthusiastic, trained professionals who are ready and willing to help?
The problem is that Aero is under the aegis of the Defense Department and the intelligence community. Those are the same two units that have been lying about it actively to Congress for 80 years. So the Aero doesn't experience itself as really being tasked to investigate this. That all they're doing is supplying a place to go for the people prior to this, that wherever they tried to go, they were told, I don't want to hear it. Or you're not supposed to be asking these questions, or you're going to get punished if you keep doing this. And so that we've broken through that to the point where Congress had to at least say, here, let's give them some place to go. And now we've got to have a protection statute, a UFO whistleblower protection statute, so they're not retaliated against. And it's totally inadequate, and all the people know that. And so that they're reluctant to go to the Aero office because they know the Aero office isn't really doing anything. All they're doing is acting as kind of a repository for people to come and tell them, that, oh, here, let me tell you what I know, but they're not doing anything about it. So what we've got to do is we've got to both get a strengthened whistleblower statute, which we've drafted. The New Paradigm Institute was asked specifically by members of the House to draft a unique UFO whistleblower protection statute so that they have a special protection, because it's such an incredibly important issue that needs to get addressed right away. And in addition to that, we're the New Paradigm Institute has crafted that 15-page bill, which is a serious protection, because it gives any victim of an attack who's tried to deliver the information and they end up getting attacked in any particular way for what they've done, it gives them a legal cause of action in court against who did it, and it gives them discovery so they can issue subpoenas and find out who did it and who authorized them to do it, and what kind of program structure is there that's trying to suppress this. And so that's a real threat. Okay. So we've done that, and we also are the group originally in the Senate bill that was authorized to nominate people to the 9-person board that is going to actually be developing a UFO UAP controlled disclosure campaign plan. To give to the president. So what we've discovered is that if you take the 64-page bill, you print it out, and you take it into a member of the House of Representatives and you lay it on the table, they just go, what is that? Like they didn't even know that it was there, because it got buried in the National Defense Authorization Act, like 50,000 pages of, how many jet fighters we're going to make this year, and so that they didn't even know it was there. So that there's this entire education process that the New Paradigm Institute is engaged in, going from office to office, bringing them copies of the Senate bill on the House side, say, here's what it looks like, there's what it is, and then getting the Senate to agree to reintroduce it. Because we got it introduced the first time in 2023, got it totally passed 17-0 in the Intelligence Committee in the Senate.
That's amazing.
Both Republicans and Democrats, and under Democratic leadership then, we're going to get it passed again now under Republican leadership. Same sponsors, same content. They're going to repass it and send it down to the House. And so our focus right now with the New Paradigm Institute is on the House members, saying, look, it's coming over to you. We want you to know about it. And half of the people we went to talk to in the staffs didn't even know that it had happened. Didn't even know that there was a Senate bill, because I say it got buried in the whole National Defense Authorization Act. On the House side, they cut away all but 23 pages of it. And on the House side, we did get passed, even though the head of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Michael Turner, from Ohio, from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base District, put his thumb on it and wouldn't let it get passed. But we managed to get 23 pages through that ordered all 6 of the United States military services and all 18 of the intelligence agencies and all 32 of the United States Defense Department agencies and all of the private aerospace corporations, commanded them to gather together all and every single piece of information they've had since January 1 of 1945 about the UFO phenomenon, and to deliver it to the classified sections of the National Archives so Congress can see it. That's a big deal.
The work that you have done is absolutely pivotal, and I think that your stature, your reputation is so remarkable in this community, and that's why, right? What you're doing with the New Paradigm Institute is absolutely amazing. So it sounds like things maybe need to meet in the middle a little bit more, right? You have this grassroots effort of engineering and technology solutions, and you still have a lot of political activism goals.
That's right.
That it needs to kind of meet in the middle.
That's we're bringing all of these things together, and very importantly, we're devoting part of our time and energy into doing that other thing of figuring out, ergo what? What are we actually proposing to be done with regard to the geopolitical structures of our planet, the economic structures, the scientific structures? What are we proposing? So we've got an entire division in the New Paradigm Institute working on that. So that's what we're doing, and very importantly, we're helping to try to stimulate other organizations to participate, do the same thing. So we're not just saying here we're the ones that are going to do this stuff all by ourselves. What we're saying is this has to be a communal undertaking. So you got people like Sal, at Stanford with Garry Nolan, who's very high tech, looking at the biologics of the stuff. And you got Peter Skavich is there, who's kind of a religious ethicist, etc., doing some of that work. They're trying to stimulate academic input. Cool. And then you got the UAP fund, the UAP Disclosure Fund. Okay.
Lots and lots of different groups.
And what they've done is they've managed to put together as their board of advisors a lot of the whistleblowers, the big top end whistleblowers. You got Lou Elizondo, you had Carl Nell, you had Dave Grush is there with those folks. And so what they're doing is they're bringing in the kind of national security state experts to kind of appeal to the national security community to come on, just get on board, come forward and share more of this information. That's a really important kind of narrow focus that they're really working on. But now they're also starting to try to reach out to the citizenry to help do education. So we're saying, great, this is cool. Let's all do it. We have the advantage at the New Paradigm Institute of being part of a 50-year public interest organization that's done this a half a dozen times, over different issues, nuclear power, and the illegal smuggling of the bomb-grade plutonium out of nuclear facilities to give Israel nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
We're the ones that did that stuff. We're the ones that did the Iran-Contra case that, caught them smuggling weapons to the Contras in violation of the congressional orders, after they've been condemned by the International Court of Justice as a terrorist operation, So we've done those things. So we have taken the initiative to try to say, what's the spread of things that need to get done here? And we're willing to undertake to try to do all of them, but we're perfectly happy to have other people coming in and specializing in particular areas. This is fantastic. Okay, so and you see this thing happening, which is all coming from the grassroots up, and that's going to be the key to this thing, because we aren't going to be able to rely upon the same governmental institutions that have been lying about this for 80 years to all of a sudden just say, oh, on third thought, we're just going to tell you this stuff, but just at our own rate, and we're saying, that rate is going to be way too slow, and not enable us to move rapidly enough to doing what we need to do about it. So that's the good thing about this here, that these folks here, are part of them at least, are figuring out doing, what are we going to do about this? So I'm really interested in seeing what the results are of bringing the talent of AI and the experts at applying it and deploying it into that question. And I'm going to be real interested in seeing, what the questions are that they've posed at the very beginning that they're going to assign to AI. I mean, AI can come up with an answer because they can search the entire information network and try to discern what the patterns are that are generated from those data points and bring them to bear on these questions. So it's the configuration of the questions that's going to be so important at the beginning of this thing. So I'm going to be interested in seeing what they've settled upon here when we get done.
Wonderful. Dan, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for everything you are doing to move this issue forward in your work in political activism.
Well, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to get to do it. So we're happy, and we jump out of bed every morning, our whole staff going, okay, let's get to it.
Here with Jeremy Riss, the alien scientist at UAP 2025. This is the inaugural conference event. What are your thoughts starting out?
Well, this is quite a location on the USS Hornet, a giant aircraft carrier. We're here in the hangar bay. A lot of people here, not like a huge crowd, but there's a lot of really interesting, smart people with good questions, good, knowledge and skills here coming together. And this is a good start to the idea that of how to move this all forward, how to move the UFO field forward and how we get out of this mess. Because waiting for the government to give us answers, it's just clearly not working. So I think that this is a great step, bringing the technological people together and the smart people to hack this out and figure out what UFOs are. And but it's interesting. There's a lot of different topics being discussed here. We've got a lot of different science and a lot of different fields here. We got biologics, looking in alien genetics and trying to decode the alien genome and alien DNA. And we have the propulsion guys, which is our crew here. And yeah, this is interesting. I guess there's going to be some cash prizes and stuff. And yeah, it's so far it's been interesting. Although they've had like I was hoping to see more speakers. I think I'm the second person up on this stage the whole thing, and I was hoping to see more people come up here and present and give talks and presentations and stuff. And yeah, I think like next time it will probably be a little bit more organized and everything, with the people. I know that we've done a lot with our own conferences and scheduling and stuff. So maybe we can help them with the next one, make it even bigger. I know a lot of people with short notice. For me, I didn't even know about the event until like 2 weeks ago, and then
this came together really rapidly. And then I think they did have Garry Nolan and a couple other folks speak on the VIP night, and you were actually still in the air.
I did not make it in time for the VIP night with Garry Nolan, so I missed out on that. Apparently, Jared was stayed up all last night. He was so psyched about all the new information and data that's come out, and because of course he has his own arts parts sample and is investigating that.
This is hands-on, right? I mean, that's one of the things that hit me is this is not like a lot of conferences are very hands-off, white paper, cheerleading, things like that.
Yeah.
This is nuts and bolts. That's awesome.
This is great because it's like I didn't feel. Normally you go to these conferences and these guys like Daniel Sheehan are in a back room, and then they go up on stage and then you don't see them. But here I get to talk to them, socialize with everyone here. It's like it's an equal playing field. Yeah, it's great. There's no hero worship going on. There's none of that. It's just everyone's got their own ideas and everyone's here to share and work on stuff together or not.
Well, and so your channel, the Alien Scientist channel on YouTube.
Yep.
Well, we definitely got to promote promote that. Like, I have met so many people who they recognize you, they know you, they love your work, right? So that is super cool, because that shows, like, again, nuts and bolts, hands-on, digging into things. That's been your approach, and that is like an inspiration for a lot of the folks here.
Definitely. I mean, there's a lot of people that came that said, you know, I've been following me for years, and when they found out I was going to be in town, they showed up just to come meet me and hang out. And so that was cool, man. It's great to finally meet people in person and know that I'm inspiring people, you know, to do work and do research into this, and then teach others and share that knowledge. So, yeah, it's quite a way to bring that community together, because a lot of these people I would have never, you know, met in real life, and now I'm taking one of them to go meet Jack Sarfati this afternoon and have lunch at the cafe. So he's like, oh my God, I've watched you guys, and now I get to actually meet you and go have lunch with this guy. So yeah, it's cool, like having that aspect of it, and then also, you know, they've been fully catered here. There's more than enough food. In fact, they're throwing food out at the end of the day. There's so much, and yeah, so like that was at least well organized and planned. No one's hungry, you know. I guess the only thing I complain about is that I'm in a giant Faraday cage and I don't get any reception on this carrier. You know?
Yeah. Well, and for like the audience, yeah. So we're on the USS Hornet, and this is actually, it's a pretty amazing. It's an older aircraft carrier, right? Parked in the Bay of San Francisco, and you know, so there's good, bad, and ugly. For me, the ugly is it's drafty and it's cold. But
it is cold, yeah. I did not, you know, I was like, oh, I'm going to California. I don't need to dress warm, but man, it's pretty chilly here. And last night was really cold. Everyone went up on the flight deck and we tried to do a meditation for the CE5 thing. Which,
I think Deep picked this. I'm just guessing, but I think it was a reference, right, to where this all started with like the Nimitz videos and the U.S. Navy and those encounters.
Yeah.
That's what started kind of this whole UFO renaissance thing that's going on.
Yeah, I guess it is symbolic, to have this event on this location. Yeah, it's not a Nimitz class carrier; it's an Essex class, but it's still an aircraft carrier, and we still got we're surrounded with you know, America, patriotism, and the U.S. military, which need to be part of this too, if we're ever going to beat the Russians and the Chinese in the long game, you know. So.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on the hackers who are here that you've met, you interacted with? I mean, is this kind of new school innovation? Are they coming up to speed on the UAP part of things rapidly, or you know, where is that at?
You know, there's I met with a lot of people that new to the stuff. They've absorbed a lot of what we're doing really quickly, and they're on board. You know, I got one guy that I met who's an expert programmer, really good with AI and stuff, and linked up with him, and maybe we'll get the physics GPT and you know, all that going again, because that was an interesting project, but we didn't really have the manpower, to really move forward with that. But with some of the people that we're meeting here, it's like, man, now we have some human resources that we didn't have before, you know, which is amazing. That's, I think, was Deep's intention in putting this together, the event, is to bring the people with these skills and expertise together, and also, you know, just make the general public aware that these people exist and we're out here, you know. So a lot of people didn't even know there's, you know, an alt propulsion community, you know, and so we're breaking onto that scene, and people are like, oh wow, this is amazing. We got all these Silicon Valley nerds and stuff who are all, you know, now up to speed on, you know, the alt propulsion community, and a lot of them have reached out and then now signed up for the APEC conference and are going to become, you know, attending meetings and stuff. Our next one on May 10th, you know. So yeah, this is great. It's a good outreach. I think it's important that it was definitely worth you know, the flight and the money we spent to come out here to make these connections and stuff. And yeah, I learned a lot here from the other people. We did some interviews yesterday. I didn't get to the biologics people or the SkyWatcher people, but hopefully get some interviews with them today, because those are the only two I really missed yesterday. I don't know if they were avoiding me or what. But those are the two that I say, like, me personally, you know, if those are the two that I put on the bottom of the list for the stuff here. You know, I did the propulsion, of course. Maybe it's just my bias, but I think we're at the top of the list here I mean, I can't be a judge, of course, you know, to give us the award. So it wouldn't be fair. I told him, we joked around about being a judge, but I'm like, nah, you don't want to put me as a judge. I'm just going to vote for the all propulsion and APEC guys. So yeah, but let some honest, unbiased judges come in here and look at the work everyone's doing and see. And I definitely hope we walk out of here with some money too. That would be great too, because I guess there's some cash prizes on the table too. You know, not that I expect that or anticipate that or anything like that. And we're still waiting on the 10 grand for the 50 grand from Jesse Michels for the Biefeld Brown and the vacuum chamber experiments too. So
there you go. There you go.
So no promises of that. You know, I'm not holding my breath on any of that. But
you know what? I'm happy. I got some great photos of the event. I'm able to capture history. I feel pumped up about that. That's good.
Yeah. You got a lot of good photos. Got some good interviews. I'm sure. I'm looking forward to meeting with Daniel Sheehan today here and getting a quick interview with him to talk about some JFK and RFK and 9/11 conspiracy stuff. So yeah, I like all the different approaches here. Lots of different mindsets. There's lots of different people here. It's pretty dead here this morning, man. There's not a lot.
Yeah, it is
they all
quiet.
at meeting? There's a cock going on.
I get the feeling that everybody's kind of exhausted from yesterday.
Yeah,
right? I mean, you had a lot of late night. You had people who were sleeping. Again, true to form for hackers, right? People sleeping on couches. You know, I came in a little early, and there were people like under blankets on couches and stuff. So
yeah,
you know, it's dedication, right?
It's true, and the true nature of hacking. Yeah, so there's that, and I think a lot of people are still sleeping because they were up late last night, and they even had I think they're sleeping out below deck here down in the barracks.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot going on here, man. It's an interesting conference. It's different. It's different than a lot of the other conferences. I've never been to a conference quite like this. This is. I don't think I've been to a hackathon before, really. Oh, I have a couple at they have the hackathon at Technocopia back home, but that's a little different. We just it's just art projects and stuff like that, you know, but nothing like this where it's strictly UFO science. I think that is a cool approach, and yeah, we'll give all these things time to run their course and see what comes out of it. And if we succeed in getting the team together of more people interested in this UFO propulsion stuff, then you know, we might get the community we've you know, off to a good start. We've been waiting for this for a while for a branching out of more interested and successful people becoming part of this community. So I think moving forward we're going to see a lot more of that, and I'd like to see a lot more events, you know, like this in the future, bringing the science and the technology to the table. And also the competition, the idea of a competition. It's like there's a guy here with his X Prize shirt on saying, oh, no, we won an X Prize and now we're here to, you know, compete in this and do some competitions. And I think they're probably going to win one of the at least top three. They've got some pretty cool stuff there over there. What is that? What's the thing called?
Global consciousness, but they expanded on the system and localized it. So yeah,
real fascinating stuff, you know. And I don't know a lot about that stuff, and I'm always, you know, a little skeptical about certain things. But you know, they've got real data. They got real you know, ways to take data and actually, you know, sensors and stuff like that. That's good. That's what we need. We need people bringing technologies and solutions to this space, because you know, again, we're not gonna work our way out of the UFO enigma by waiting for the government to give us answers or relying on the government to do anything. They're useless. They're beyond useless, and these people are the real deal. These people are we're getting shit done. You know what I mean?
Well, Jeremy, thank you so much, man, and thank you for inspiring all the people that are here too.
Yeah, man. I hope we inspire more. I hope that the next Tesla, the next Einstein is watching right now. You know, thinking, hey, I can do this, and why not? There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to get involved with, but it's an adventure and it's a ride of a lifetime. So, thank you.